Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Welcome back to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
Let's get this party started. So you can see that we are in a brand new podcast studio. Not really brand new. It's our old studio, new look.
It's a remodel. It's a veneered podcast studio, right? Because in fact, somebody was asking us, where did you guys move to from your old studio? I'm like, we're still here. Just a little facelift.
We moved maybe a couple of feet in the room, but we're still in the same place. And so I think with the New Look podcast, this is going to be a really great podcast to talk about transformation and the transformation that people want in this new year. We're only a few weeks into the new year, and I think we can go ahead and get into it and start talking about the transformation that people want at the beginning of the year, because everybody on January 1st, I say everybody, most people start a New Year's resolution.
And what day is it right now?
Today, I think
recording,
it's the 20th or 21st, something like that. And when people do New Year's resolutions, it seems like for most people, their number one New Year's resolution is what?
Well, it's weight loss. It is 100%. That has to be. We don't have the numbers in front of us, but you would think the majority of people, this is the goal. And there's a lot of ways to try to get there. And most of it has to do with dieting and calorie restriction and eating less and moving more and calories in and calories out and all the stuff that's been out there for decades. Yet here we are when you have a whole country that's metabolically sick. That study that showed, almost 94% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. And if that's true, and if it's not true, just look around. It looks pretty true to me. Anytime we go anywhere, if that is true, then we know that most people going into the year, they're like, something has to change. They may not even know what to do, but they're willing to, at least in their mind, say, I've got to lose the weight. Yet, why does that keep reoccurring every single year? Because if you're solving the problem or getting to the cause, you shouldn't have to come back and keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And what do they say the definition of insanity is, Dr. Rob? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting to get a different result. We're completing each other's sentences right now. This is how long we've been best friends.
Well, you asked me the question. I was just answering. So by now, too, a couple of weeks into the new year, for many people, these New Year's resolutions are fading. And the number one reason why these New Year's resolutions fail for people is because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Not only does life get in the way, but one of two things has now happened. A, they are not getting the results that they were expecting. Mm-hmm. And so then it gets frustrating, or they've been relying on willpower to get them through it. And Dr. Randy, what do we know about willpower?
It will let you down. Yeah. And it's like we said, we're recording today. I think it's the 20th. That's hard to believe. The month is this far. We're already at the 20th. But if you've been using the willpower strategy and the diet strategy, I can promise you by day 20, if you started on the 1st, you're already quitting, thinking about quitting, or noticing that the sacrifice isn't worth the result you're getting. And anytime you have to sacrifice and you don't see the result, you're setting yourself up for failure. The juice may not be worth the squeeze. And that's really where the diet industry leaves everybody high and dry. Is you maybe get some initial results, you're on fire, you're motivated, but by January 20th, that motivation's gone. And more than likely, you're right back where you were. And it's a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle. And I think the frustration becomes, it's happening because of the fact that what it is that we always talk about is that they are focused on diet or exercise, and they're not focused on healing the metabolism. And as I say that, It's also interesting because it doesn't matter if you go to a gym, if you're working with a doctor, if you're working with a nutritionist, what they're all saying is that they are helping you to have a healthier metabolism. But they really don't know anything about how to heal a metabolism because their solution is still going back to diet and exercise. Yep. Calories in, calories out, exercise more, right?
Yeah,
move
law
more,
of
eat less.
thermodynamics. If you eat less, then you burn, then you'll be skinny, and all the world's problems are solved. And it just isn't that simple. Clearly, it's not, because the gyms are packed. You know, we really do. A lot of people work out. They buy gym memberships. They go to the gym. I don't ever go to the gym where there's not a lot of people there, yet I see a lot of people and they're not doing very good. And so it goes back to what you just said, is the reason you end up right back where you were is you never got to the cause of your problem. So you're asking the wrong question. So stop asking, how do I lose weight? Because almost anything that pops in your head that you've either done in the past or you're thinking about doing, it's going to actually make you less healthy in order to get to where you want to go. We'll talk about that more in this podcast episode, the things you want to be looking for, but you got to start asking, how do I fix my
metabolism?
That's the key. That is the name of the game, because your metabolism controls what you weigh. Not just that, this is our story. You know, you overcame metabolic disease. I overcame metabolic disease, and it was never going to happen by just cutting calories or popping supplements or fasting or peptides or taking medications, which ultimately none of that stuff ever truly gets to the cause of why your metabolism is so broken and why it's not working for you.
It's so true, because, for example, I talked about this last year, and at the end of last year, that one of my goals, and that really is, we were talking about this the other day, is what I'm absolutely committed to is being in the best physical fit shape and health of my entire life. So that's my goal for this year. And part of that, as if you've been listening for a long time, you know that, well, I had 2 back surgeries back in 2020. And as a result, it really ended up being very limited in my flexibility. So in an effort to get my core stronger, get more flexible, I've been doing Pilates. And so
true story. Even when you travel, you are
Yeah.
up going to the Pilates studio.
I was in the snow last week in
know.
Chicago, and we're going to talk about our trip to Chicago here in just a few minutes, because the results that happened as a result of what we were doing in Chicago were unbelievable. But there I was in Chicago, trekking through the snow. It was crazy because we got there. It was so nice. It was like 46 degrees and sunny last Tuesday when we flew in and landed. We were like, Chicago's not that bad. Well, I get up to go to Pilates the next morning at 7 a.m., I think was the class. And snow was coming in sideways.
I'd never seen anything like that.
I've seen rain sideways.
Yeah, not snow. In fact, I talked to the group of doctors there yesterday. They said, you guys got out of there in the nick of time. It was already 0 and headed into the negative temperatures this week. So we barely survived it out there.
Mackerel.
If you live in the Midwest, you are a special kind of tough, because I don't know that I'm built for that.
I'm definitely not built for that. So I walk slide, I should say, into the Pilates studio, and we start the Pilates class. And you and I talked about this afterwards. And I was looking around. There was not one person in that class, and it was all women except for me. But there wasn't even one.
By the way. But was that strategic on your part?
Not strategic at all.
I'm just saying, that's you were setting up the odds in your favor. Just saying.
Not strategic at all. And as I was there looking around, there was not one person in the class outside of the instructor that was at a healthy weight.
Wow.
And I was listening to the instruction in the instructor after, and people were talking to her about why they had started this Pilates class at the beginning of the year, and talking about how their desire was to want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Well, number one is we've talked about how many calories you would have to burn in order to be able to lose 1 pound of body fat, which is a 34-mile walk. You're not getting your heart rate up to be burning any calories in that Pilates class that I was in. Yeah. By the way, You're not really burning any calories. It's great for strength. It's great for flexibility. It's great for those things, but you're not burning any calories anyway. So it was that zero-sum game that we talk about, because there wasn't anybody in that class that was losing any weight at all. Meanwhile, they're going home. They're still doing the same things that they were doing the day before that, or they're going next door. They're getting the coffee with the soy milk in it.
You went to the Pilates, you walk across the street and you get the soy latte, right? With the Splenda, we want to keep low sugar.
Yeah. So now you're putting toxins in the body, which is gonna stop your ability to lose weight. And I bring this up just to say this, because yes, I kudos to the folks who are in the class.
No doubt.
I'm also a little bit annoyed about it, because do you know how hard it is to be able to get into a Pilates class or any kind of workout class at this time of year? Because everybody started their New Year's resolution. It's almost impossible to try to even get into any kind of class.
Yeah.
Because everybody is doing this New Year's resolution. The good news is by mid-February, it'll be super easy to be able to get into all these classes, because everybody will have fallen off that New Year's resolution. But we only say this to say that there's a lot of people that are doing the things that they think are helping them to lose weight and or get metabolically healthy. But that's not true at all. And we're going to talk about that. And I think a great place to start talking about that are the results that happened with the folks that we were meeting there in Chicago, because we were speaking at two different doctors' offices. These are two different doctors who were doing what everybody else is doing through diet and exercise to try to lose weight in a healthy way, right? As holistic healthcare practitioners, we might be doing things like keto or paleo or no sugar or clean eating, doing all organic, what we think would be toxin-free foods, doing all of those things. Yet, and I speak from personal experience, I was just like them, or I was doing all those things and I was still struggling and I could not lose the weight. So Dr. Randy, will you introduce us to those docs that we were there speaking at and talk about their results, some of the struggles that they were having, and then the results that they ultimately had?
Yeah, well, ultimately too, and our audience may not know, really this year we've committed. We're on tour, man. I don't know if we've got the Happy Healthy tour bus coming.
We need one.
But we are literally booked out really for the year. We're traveling and we're actually going and showing up physically to holistic healthcare doctors all over the country, probably some even in Europe this summer or maybe in the fall, because we're really wanting to lay a foundation and build out great relationships with other like-minded doctors, because we just can't do it. We can't do it by ourselves, Dr. Rob. We can't do it with, let's be honest, with Facebook ads and Google searches and, master classes. We really need to build an army, essentially.
Grassroots army.
It is. It's grassroots. And I love it, because I know you and I, we are grassroots, boots on the ground, shaking hands, hugging people, making an impact in person. This is what we've always done clinically. And since we really became a virtual company back in 2023, this is giving us a chance to really get back out there. So anybody, if you're a holistic doctor, if you're a person who's a part of a holistic practice and you want us to come, we would love to have that conversation with your doctor or with you. If you are a doctor, let us know, because that is something we're committed to 100%. But back to your question.
Well, I was going to say, if you are listening and you are that holistic doctor, the best way to get a hold of us is one of two ways. You can go to Instagram at the H2 Life and send us a DM, or send us an email to info@h2thinvirtual.com if you're one of those people who's interested.
Yeah, thank you for giving people actual steps versus me just throwing up all over them with what I'm excited about. Thank God for you, Dr. Rob. You're the best, man. So real talk on that. But yeah, we were just in Chicago. There were actually two doctors that we were working with. One of the doctors, Dr. Carrie Jacobson, were in her clinic. I believe it was maybe last July, the end of July. Okay. We were there, and I want to say we were there, and she and her husband, Daryl, had gone through our program and just was really life-changing for them. Not just the weight loss, but the energy, the inflammation. And by the way, Dr. Carrie, she's not just any doctor. She's really one of the smartest, most thorough doctors, at least in my opinion. She's
amazing.
She's amazing. Unbelievable. But you don't have to be great at everything. And the reality is you're not. We're not great at everything, but I can tell you what we are great at. When you talk about fixing and assessing and completely rebooting your metabolism, I don't know anybody who can get the results that we get. We are metabolic experts. It is our best foot forward. And so with Dr. Carey, she was able to go through our program, changed her and her husband Daryl's life, and she wanted to bring us out to basically teach her patients what they needed to do because her life was changing. They're wanting to know what's going on. It just made sense. So we were there. I believe 31 of her patients started with Happy Healthy, going through our metabolism program. And I don't know, what was the numbers on that? Was it over?
That's what I was bringing up right now.
Those numbers because they're really overwhelming. In fact, these numbers are medically impossible when you talk about taking a group of people, taking them through a system in a very short amount of time. Remember, our program and the active weight loss portion is only 5 weeks as we're healing the metabolism. And in totality, the program is just 8 weeks or 2 months. What were those numbers that we generated from Dr. Carey's office last summer?
So there were 30 people that had gone through the program last summer, and they had a combined weight loss of over 600 pounds. So what that means is that on average, each person that went through the program lost, what is that? So what is 600? Lost an average of 20 pounds? Is that what that is? 630?
No, it's more than that.
So
it's closer to it's about close to our average, which is that 23 to 25 pounds. Yeah.
So they lost that. And then check this out. So overall, Dr. Carey has lost 46 pounds.
Yeah, because her and her husband did an additional round. Yes.
46 pounds. Okay. Daryl, her husband, has lost 65 pounds.
Wow.
And also she said, so thankful for the roadmap.
Yeah.
That you guys gave me. She said, it's why I want to desperately spread the word. It feels like it saved my life on many levels.
Dr. Carey said that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. So we went back. We were just there and she wanted to bring us back, showcase their results. And then obviously a lot of her patients wanted to get on board. And so being back out there, seeing the results, being back in that office was pretty powerful. I don't know how many more came on to come through the program, but that's a community and that's a group of patients along with the doctors and staff members who are changing metabolic health. In fact, one of Dr. Carey's trusted assistants, I'm not sure what her title is, Ursula, she went through the program. She was telling us, and it wasn't to lose weight, because if you look at Ursula, maybe 5 pounds, who couldn't, everybody probably could drop 5, especially if you're going to lose body fat and replace it with hydration and muscle. But she had horrible skin and eczema because her body was really toxic and inflamed. And by going through the program, it wasn't about losing weight. She lost some, but it was about healing her body's metabolic profile. So the eczema is now gone and greatly reduced. The inflammation is now gone. So a lot of people who struggle and would think, well, I don't have a metabolism program because I'm at a decent weight. It's not about that. Metabolism, that's your longevity play. That's how your body detoxes, how it repairs, how it assimilates nutrition, how it utilizes nutrition and helps move and generate energy throughout the body so you can function and live at your best. So if you're tired, if you don't sleep well, if you're inflamed, way beyond weight loss, this is a real problem that we're facing in America. And of course, the medical community has zero answers for any of the metabolic conditions that we suffer with. Because the truth is, really every chronic disease they're diagnosing you with in this country, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, cancer, that's right, cancer. I overcame cancer as a metabolic condition, how we built our program out. Arthritis, autoimmune conditions, thyroid issues. These are all downstream poor metabolic function. And all the medical community can tell you is run a bunch of labs, spend a bunch of money, send you to a bunch of specialists. And at the end of the day, guess what you walk out of there with? A prescription for more drugs to take for the rest of your life. These are all the same people that were trying the diets, going to the doctors, taking the medications, yet they couldn't figure out and solve the problem because nobody had showed them how to heal their metabolism. So big shout out to Dr. Carey and their entire team there in Chicago. Thank you guys for your trust. And we're so happy to be a partner with you on this journey to changing metabolic health.
Yeah, it's great. It's almost like they didn't need as big a space because all the people that came out to see us who had actually been to the metabolism workshop the last time were so much thinner, 600 pounds less, and
600 pounds.
And they looked so good. Dr. Carey, Daryl, they look like completely different people. Ursula lost 27 inches. And so,
that's right.
So she lost. Think about
just
that.
Redistributed the weight.
Yeah, if you're a woman and you think 27 inches off of your body, if you are that person like me, I can be a little bit vain. I like to look in the mirror and love what it is that I see in the mirror. And so, if that's you too, that was like me, who was going and doing your clothing shopping, for example, where you're shopping from the back of the rack because that's where the larger sizes are versus the front of the rack. It's way more fun to shop from the front of the rack. And that's what Ursula is now doing. So super fun. And we also did another talk there for Dr. Kim.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because these are people who are doctors, who are doing what they think is everything right.
Yeah.
And Dr. Kim was also blown away because of all of the weight that she lost that she couldn't lose before, trying all these traditional methods that we're talking about right now. And you even got to talk to Dr. Kim yesterday on the phone. What are some of the other things that she talked about with the results that she got?
Well, with Dr. Kim, like many of us, and especially in a busy practice, because just like Dr. Carey, Dr. Kim is very impressive. Just her clinic and all the services and the therapies and the wellness strategies that she implements. Her patients are super lucky and super blessed, but they were struggling just like she was. And remember, you're best equipped to help the person that you used to be. And it's hard to help somebody if you've never been where they were and you don't know the roadmap, right? We can predict your future because we know where you were and we know what it takes to get to where you want to be. That's why we're a guided source for people, not only from our story now, but by partnering with key and aligned doctors and with all the messaging and the content and really boots on the ground. Really, for the last over 20 years, we've been able to make this impact. But with Dr. Kim, she really is crazy busy. And listen, maybe she's creating too much busyness.
But she said she's been slammed since November.
Through the holidays with her crazy schedule. Literally, she puts in 12-hour days, no joke. And she could never lose any weight with anything that she tried. How could you not lose weight if you just cut all your calories? That just goes to show it isn't calories in, calories out. And stress, and when you can't adapt to stress, and when your metabolism is broken, you could eat nothing and still be gaining weight and get stuck. And that was her. So the diet industry had failed her. The protein bars, the protein shakes, all the treatments, none of that was really solving her problem. So for her to be able to lose 23 pounds on our program, which, by the way, that is our average. Right now, at this point in our company, we have enough data and enough clients, thousands of people we have worked with all over the world. And that's no hyperbole, all over the world, different people, different metabolic needs, getting an average, Dr. Rob, of 23 pounds. For a female, guys are getting 30 or more. But for her to be able to do that in the busiest time of year when she is most stressed was life-changing. So she wanted to bring us in. So we were honored enough to be at Dr. Kim's office there in Chicago as well. And had a great group there. A lot of people came on board. I can't wait to be back there at some point again. It's always fun to go back and then see.
Hopefully next time's in the summer, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, that's a fact. We're not going back in the winter. I told her that yesterday, but her feedback was this was powerful because this is something that we didn't have. We weren't able to solve this problem in our clinic. I couldn't solve it for myself, she said, and we clearly couldn't solve it for our patients. So this has been a godsend for her and her clinic and her patients. So going back to, if anybody's listening who is a healthcare practitioner, knows somebody that you're a patient of, this could be a good fit for, let us know, because we really are committed to getting this message out to more like-minded people, because people are desperately praying every single day for a miracle. And sometimes you are that miracle when you hear the truth and you pay that forward.
Yeah. So let's talk then, last but not least, seems like we're on the doctor role of people that have done this. And the reason and the point for even bringing that up is because we're talking about people who are the experts in their field, who are really smart people who are still struggling, and why that is. And so let's talk about the Herbs, Dr. Kimberly and Dr. David Herb, who, by the way, we're going to be speaking at their office here in 2 days.
2 days,
on Thursday in Coppell, Texas. And we're really excited to do this because Dr. David is one of our best friends.
Oh, man,
and we've known him for a long, long time, probably like 15, 16 years.
At least.
And so they've just recently gone through the program. And one of the things when we were talking to him that really hit me last week as we were preparing for the talk that we're going to give at his office is he goes, guys, because we're also going to be presenting for another couple hundred doctors next week in Orlando, is like, guys, one of the things that you guys need to make sure that you communicate with everybody, especially these doctors that you're going to be talking about, is how not only did this help me to lose weight, and he lost 31 pounds, by the way, he looks fantastic.
Phenomenal.
But he goes, it wasn't really just the weight loss. It was my body feels better. I have more energy. I'm feeling like my younger self for the first time in years and years and years. He goes, you guys need to make sure that you communicate how powerful this is for your health and the function of your body.
Man, that was just music to our ears to hear him say that. Because speaking of smart doctors, him and Dr. Kimberly, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
The environment that they've created in their clinic, you just walk in, there is healing going on. I think
so much fun in there. Oh, absolutely.
And their staff is a direct extension of that incredible team there. They've got a couple of offices here in Dallas, Fort Worth. But yeah, it was really powerful to hear because we have known David and Kimberly for a very long time. And, Dr. David really told us, he goes, guys, I got to be honest. I was very skeptical. And he goes, in fact, and we know this to be true because we were following his journey, him and Dr. Kimberly's journey with our coaching team. They were giving a lot of pushback, and they were
define pushback. Well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean?
Well, pushback is when you now all of a sudden become the smartest person in the room about something.
All of a sudden, now you're a researcher?
Yeah, now you're a researcher. Now you're the smartest person in the room, and you're the smartest person in the room about something that you're really not a specialty or haven't had the specialty training in, right? You're that person who is so confident about something that you really don't even understand. And I can say that with all due respect, because David will be the first one to say that. It is not that he didn't understand. It was more like, it's like all of us. He's like everybody probably listening. We've all been taught and believed things about our health that are not true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really a journey you and I have been on for over 20 years, really challenging the things that we've been told. And the medical community has groomed so many people. It's a control grid, and the psychological operation is to make everybody think that they're broken, that they're victims, that they're not enough, that they're parts, that they're pieces, that disease is the norm, and getting older and gaining weight and poor genetics and a bad poker hand. It's all bad luck. There's nothing you can do except come to us and let us tell you which drugs you need to take for the rest of your life. Now, David and Kimberly obviously have come out of that system many years ago, but we still find ourselves dabbling in a lot of those strategies when it comes to what they teach us, because the medical community still tells you that it's calories in, calories out. And so I think the pushback from them was, hey, I don't agree with this, or maybe this is a better way to do that. So the pushback was, it wasn't aggressive pushback, but it was a little skepticism, a little bit of challenging, because a lot of people, they've been brainwashed into the diet industry. So it was cool to have, we had coffee with Dr. David, a couple weeks ago. And he said, guys, I just got to tell you, I apologize. I was wrong. And I was like, David, say that again. That felt really good to hear, because I'm usually the one saying I was wrong. It felt good to have somebody tell me they were wrong. But the funny part is with Dr. David, what he was saying is what we had created, the proof showed him everything he needed to know. He didn't need any more research. He didn't need to know the science. He didn't need to have a case study. He goes, I'm a living, breathing, walking example of what happens. He goes, because the one thing I did, whether I gave you pushback or not, my wife and I, we followed the system exactly as indicated. He goes, not only did I lose the weight, like you said, man, his jawline now, he looks like a model. I mean, the guy
you
is
see those before and after photos. Yeah.
That face is chiseled. But he goes, guys, do you remember him saying this? He goes, I now enjoy eating again for the first time since I was a young kid.
Yeah, because he was subconsciously dieting, right?
Yes.
And starving himself,
yes.
or depriving himself of the foods that he really loved, which is going back into that diet model.
He couldn't even eat carbohydrates. If you can't eat carbohydrates without gaining weight, you are metabolically sick. He goes, now I can eat. He goes, I'm eating over 200 carbohydrates per day and I can't gain any weight. It's radically altered his life. And it's one of the key pieces, which we'll talk about, that's a part of any metabolic strategy that you have to master. If you can't burn carbs, or essentially what that means is if you can't use sugar to fuel your body without gaining weight, you're metabolically broken. And now he has the metabolic freedom, the flexibility. He doesn't have to be perfect anymore. And now life is way more fun.
It's a great segue into this conversation, because really the number one key pillar, or the first pillar that we'll talk about, I don't know if it's number one, because there's a lot of pillars that go into healing your body's metabolism. It's not just one thing, it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's why for a lot of people that try to figure it out on their own, we were just having this conversation yesterday. It's the difference between they think that, okay, maybe there's only a couple of pieces. It's like when you're little, and I know when my three kids were little, you always start them off on doing puzzles, by those puzzles that have the big gigantic pieces, and there may only be like 4 pieces.
Yeah.
Versus as you get older as an adult, you try to put together one of those
the
puzzles,
3+ years age on it, where now it's for older kids.
Yeah. Now you're trying to do one that has 2,000 pieces in it. Really, metabolic freedom is about understanding how to put 2,000 of those pieces together. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
So one of those, the pieces in there is really being able to learn how to be fat adapted, or have fat adaptation.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between endogenous and exogenous, right? Fuel. So let's talk about that and why that's such a key pillar, that I would guarantee you that anybody trying to get, quote, metabolically healthy, they 100% miss this.
You miss it every time, no question, especially in a keto carnivore low carb world, where literally you're giving your body high fat and cutting out your carbohydrates to basically force your body to burn fat for fuel, when it never was able to be fat adapted to begin with, because you store body fat.
That was me.
You've already got fat. You can't give your body more fat to fix a fat adaptation problem, because you've already got stored body fat. Yeah, that was, you would put
Frustration City. Holy moly.
Talk about it, because you were the ultimate keto low carb guy. You were perfect.
I'm like, what in the heaven is going on? Because I'm not eating any sugar.
Yep.
I'm not eating any carbohydrates. I'm eating all fats, all protein. It's like bacon and steak were the staples, right? And they said, okay, if you only eat this way, that surely you're going to lose weight.
Now, you did initially.
Right.
And people do initially on a low carb, high fat diet.
And then you get stuck.
Yeah.
And so, that was me. I would get stuck no matter how much I eliminated these carbohydrates. I would still stay stuck, and I was frustrated. So my thinking was, I'm going to have to then eat like this for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Exercise like crazy, just to be able to maintain what I thought was a healthy weight, which is 30 pounds heavier than what I am right now.
That's insane, right? You convinced yourself, because cutting out carbs, you're doing everything right in your mind, that 185 was as low as you could get.
That's the number, 185.
I know your number. You're my best friend. I know this. Yeah. Now you what, weigh 150, 152?
Right now I'm at I'm 152.
And which was never going to be possible in a low carb diet. And that you're not too skinny. Dude, you're lean, you're healthy, you're at a better weight now than you even were as a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah. And I get to eat all the things that I love to eat. I'm not depriving myself of foods.
Yeah.
I'm able to eat the carbohydrates. I can't eat the sugars. Now I'm eating healthier sugars than what I would be eating, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it really is about the health of the cells. And so, so you got to get yourself fat adapted.
Let's go back to that, a little more nuance to it really quickly. So one of the problems with a high fat diet, it doesn't create fat adaptation where your body has the ability to burn fat whenever it needs to use for energy, is when you go high fat, low carb, you put your body into a stress state because now your body does need sugar and it has to make it. It's a process called gluconeogenesis. You'll break down muscle tissue to create it. It's a high stress rescue response that you can come in and out of on occasion. It's fine. But if you become reliant on it because you're not eating it, then what will happen is you'll create insulin resistance, which is the one thing you can't have to have a healthy metabolism. So if you're the low carb, high fat person, the only way to get fat adapted is not to eat fat. You have to learn how to burn your own fat. So eating it is an exogenous way of doing it. You can't create the fat adaptation. Endogenous is how you do it, because not only will you create fat adaptation, your body won't become insulin resistant.
It's funny because I was thinking as you were talking about the endogenous versus exogenous, and you always want things to be endogenous because it's coming from your own body. And that's how God created us from the beginning. So it's not an outside in approach, which is all the medical system approach.
You got it.
Even in the healthcare world. And so they miss this all the time. And I was thinking about, remember, it was probably 5-6 years ago where everybody was doing keto. And there was a lot of these
ketone salts, right?
Ketone salts.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. There was like these multi-level marketing companies that were selling the ketone salts. We had a lot of friends who chiropractors trying to get us to do these things. And we're like, that's an exogenous ketone. It's not your body actually creating that on its own. And that's how you can see that things are flawed. When they're looking for something from the outside in versus the inside out, that's going to be a flawed model every single time. Yep. And I think this, and you're not going to like this, Dr. Randy, what I have to say next.
Well, go ahead. Hit me with it.
This is going to be a place where we're going to have to stop. And I'll only say that because if you're a member of our happy, healthy community, this right now is when we go in and we answer very specific questions that our members have, which is why those people who are listening right now that are going, you know what, I need to know about, I've got this issue going on. How can you help me with this issue that I have going on right now? You don't understand.
Yeah.
This is where we answer those questions for our group. And we've got 3 other pillars that we want to talk about.
We'll put the brakes on it today.
We're gonna put the brakes there.
Now that's pissing off a lot of people right now because there's so much more nuance as we lay out the pieces to what you need to do to fix your metabolism. Before we go though, I would like to tease maybe a few more people with a powerful testimonial we received this week.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then we'll close with that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because this is an example, a classic example of somebody who had spent tons of time, money, going to doctors, getting diagnosed with thyroid problems and diabetes, ending up on drugs, gaining all this weight, trying all these strategies, yet nothing worked until they finally found out about Happy Healthy and how to heal their metabolism. So I'm gonna read this as we close. And it's great to be back this year. Great to be in the new studio. This ought to inspire all of us right here. And I'm not going to give the name, but I will give the testimony. This was actually a lady referred to us. She actually came from one of our coaches. It's been a lifelong friend of hers up in Canada. Here's what she said. She said that, listen, at the beginning of November, I started the Happy Healthy Thin program focusing on the thyroid disruptor program. Really quickly, what she is saying is we have identified where you store fat, is why you store fat, and we have a functional medicine assessment that everybody takes online that will move you into a specific metabolic disruption category. That way we can customize your experience. So this is the category she was in. So she started the thyroid disruptor program. She says, after the assessment, this was the program picked to help me retrain my body to burn fat and to reset my body and teach it how to burn sugar. With the specific food guide during the 8 weeks, I have been able to cut all of my meds, all of them, in half, and I've lost 50 pounds so far as of this morning's weight. The programs are specific for your body and health issues. All this, my friends, was achieved without doing an ounce of exercise. Don't get me wrong, exercise is important, and you all know how much I love to exercise, but when it comes to weight loss, we have to shift our thinking from exercising to lose weight to get healthy to getting your body healthy in order to lose the weight. Walking and muscle building is important, but not for the purpose of getting your body functioning healthy without drugs. Food does that. Remember, removing the crap and replacing it with the delicious foods from Happy Healthy. By doing this, now all the crap seriously tastes like crap. My body does not crave it before, where I could crush so much junk food and love it. Your body needs help, whether you need to lose 20 or 200 pounds. This program will help you get your body functioning the way God created it to. If you are at a point in your life that you want to get off your medications, get your body functioning the way God intended, let me know. I can give you my coach's contact info to learn more about the program, but you have to be ready to make the change. No matter how many loved ones tell you, if you are not ready, you will not do it. Trust me, my dear friend who is the coach at Happy Healthy has been telling me about this for 2 years, and it took me ending up on high blood pressure meds, type 2 diabetes, and a thyroid problem with more medication, which were all causing side effects. It took all that for me to make the change. I've decided to live instead of to die. I have a long way to go, but I'm heading in the right direction. I'm seeing amazing results. If you're ready and you want to join me in this journey, reach out. Wow. That was a little bit long, but I wanted to read it all because there was so much to what she said. It's powerful. She didn't need more research. She didn't need more case studies. She didn't need more information. What she needed was a trusted person who cared enough about her to say, there is a better way. And the results, what they say, the proof is in the pudding. We would say that would be organic, dark cacao, rich avocado pudding, probably. But the results are in the metabolic pudding. So great job. This is what can happen when you shift your thinking from losing weight to healing your metabolism.
Yeah. So that right there is really a shout out to our team as well, our coaches who work with these folks one-on-one and are also there to answer any question that they have.
Yeah.
I think a true testament even to how powerful our team and our system is that our average weight loss coming into 2025 was 22 pounds.
Yeah.
And then after looking at all the data from 2026, it actually raised up to over 23 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so
for females.
Yeah, for females. And yeah, and this person right here has lost 50 pounds. And as I think about that, it's in what's really cool and dynamic is that when we were a clinical operation, that's where that 22 pounds came from, seeing people having to come into a clinic.
Yeah.
So if you're questioning what it is that we do and the methods that we use, don't question it, because these results right here are the answer. They're the answer to exactly what it is that you need. You don't need to come in and see us in person unless you just want to come and say hi. We have retreats for that, for people that want a hands-on experience. Our next retreat this year, I'm excited about that, to be able to hang out with us in person. And just shout out to our team. And that team includes the people who are in our membership group.
Yeah.
Because you are a part of this team.
100%.
It's you guys that help us make this program better and better and better. I love this time of year right now because those people who did start a New Year's resolution, we were talking to an individual last week who lost 10 pounds in only 7 days, somebody in the health and wellness space.
Yeah, in the biohacking community.
In the biohacking community as well. So yeah, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by us just getting this recipe that we have for our thin method system better and better and better and better. So
yeah, and on that note, really quickly, coming out of last year and looking at all of our data, not only are we getting a better result with our clients, our success rate is through the roof. So people have to be thinking, well, this can't work for everybody. And you would be right. It doesn't work for everybody. This is why we have a very stringent and a very particular way of accepting anybody into the program, because we want to work with people who really want to get to the cause of the problem and see it through and follow our system. But even with all that being said, we have an 87% success ratio, which, by the way, if you can get 87% success in anything in your life, you may be the luckiest person who's ever walked planet Earth. That is insane. And we were both impressed with those numbers. How could we not be? But what we found out as we dove in deeper and started teasing out all the pieces of what that meant, we actually have a 99% success ratio. So what that means is if somebody starts our program, follows our system, 99% of those people will ultimately get our guaranteed result, which is a minimal of 15 pounds in the 5 weeks. That's 99%. Where our numbers were getting skewed, which is hard to believe, these are people that would buy our program, Dr. Rob,
just not started,
and they just go AWOL. They didn't start, they disappear, they never follow up with one of our coaches, they never get involved in the system. So they bought it and never did it. So they changed their commitment level. But anybody who starts, follows our system, you can be guaranteed. And we do have a guarantee on our program, and nobody guarantees what we do, and nobody can get the results that we get. We have the data. We have the pelts on the wall. We are not Johnny come latelys, Dr. Rob. We've been in this game for over 20 years. We have a story of overcoming our own metabolic challenges and now having the privilege and the honor to work with so many key affiliates, doctors, key influencers, key ambassadors, key clients. We built out an entire community of people that's really overwhelming. And we're so thankful going into this year. 2026 is going to be a remarkable year.
It is going to be a remarkable year. So if you want to learn more about the program, here's what you need to do is you need to go to metabolismscore.com. That's where you get started, okay? To find out how your metabolism is doing, go there. If you know, hey, I want to get started, I don't need to go to metabolismscore.com. You can go to h2thinvirtual.com. Look at the show notes, because right now we do have a special January discount code on there where you're going to save $700 on the program. So it's going to be in the show notes. Go to h2thinvirtual.com. Utilize the code that's going to be in those show notes. And we will see you again on our next episode next year, where we'll go through the last 3 pillars that we're going to go through today. So thanks again for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. For our members, don't go anywhere. We're coming right back to you with the office hours here in just a few minutes.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life, or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.